Hello everyone. I'm going to discuss the subject cryptography and network security CS409 for the S7 students, BTech students. In this subject, I'm going to mainly deal with DS, data encryption standard in this presentation. Before moving to the DS, there are some more concepts we have to discuss related to DS. In DS, we will say that DS is a block ciphering method. So we should know what is the difference between a block cipher as well as a stream cipher is. So block ciphering, stream ciphering, everything comes under the category of symmetric cipher. What exactly the symmetric cipher is? So consider an example. I want to send a message to a person A. So the message is hi, and I want to send that message to that particular person. So my aim is that person can read the message, the person only reads that message. So what I will be doing is, before sending the message, I will encrypt the message. Why I should encrypt the message is that the message should reach that person and reach that person only. So what I will be doing is, I will alter that message which is not readable for others. That is exactly an encryption method I will be applying there. So while reaching that message at person A can decode from that actual message from that one. That is known as decryption process. So if I am using for the encryption as well as decryption with the same key, it is known as symmetric cipher method. If I am using different key, it is known as asymmetric. Symmetric cipher, that is same key if I am using, it is also known as conventional encryption method or private encryption, or it is known as symmetric cipher. Same way, if two different keys if I am using, that is known as asymmetric or public key encryption method. So in symmetric encryption, we can make use of either block cipher or stream cipher. What is the difference between block cipher and stream cipher is that, suppose I am sending a message hi, okay, HAI. Suppose corresponding binary data I will be usually taking, and the binary data, on the binary data we will be doing that encryption as well as decryption part. When I am taking this binary data, say for example the data is 101010. If each bit by bit if I am taking and I am applying encryption on that one, after that I am sending it. That is known as stream ciphering. A stream of data I am taking and I will be applying the encryption method on that one and sending. So what will be the block ciphering? A blocks of plain text I will be taking. I will be applying that encryption there. Then after that we will be sending that one. That is what exactly a block cipher we will be doing. Usually what we are doing is, we are taking blocks as powers of 2. That is a block of 2 bits, block of 4 bit, block of 32 bit, block of 64, like that we will be taking. That is exactly block cipher means. So that is the difference between stream cipher and block cipher. So in DS, we will be using block ciphering method. In block ciphering method, again one more concept is there. In the DS, initially, the scientist Shannon introduced a concept which is known as substitution and permutation. Okay, substitution as well as permutation is two methods which we can adopt for this type of different types of encryptions. So that is substitution, permutation. It is known as SP network. Okay, substitution means some of the letters I am replacing with some another one. That is known as substitution. For that one, we will be using S boxes. That is for the substitution. I will be using S boxes. We will see what it is for the DS method. Same way for the permutation, we will be using P boxes. Okay. So substitutions actually make sure that there is confusion. A primitive operation, that is confusion is there, and permutation ensures that there is diffusion occurs there. Okay. So then what is this confusion? Diffusion is. Confusion means, as the definition says, first we will start with the diffusion. Diffusion says that it dissipates statistical structure of plain text over the bulk of ciphertext. That means we will make the generation of ciphertext as complicated as possible with the help of plaintext. Means the relationship between the ciphertext and plaintext, we will make it as complex as possible. How? That is, if I am taking a plaintext that is 101010, okay, suppose any encryption method I am applying, after that the ciphertext is 11111. Suppose if I am changing a single value of that one, that is 1010, instead of 1 I am making it into again 0, the entire ciphertext will be changing to 0000 like that. That means we will make the relationship between the plaintext and ciphertext as complicated as possible. Whenever I am making a very slight small change in the plaintext, the entire ciphertext gets modified. That is known as diffusion. Confusion means same thing. We are making the relationship between ciphertext and key as complex as possible. How we will be doing? That is, entire key bits depends on the generation of a ciphertext. When I am changing a very single bit of a key, the entire ciphertext will get modified in a block. Okay, that is known as confusion. So diffusion as well as confusion, these are some properties which we are using for making a block ciphering a most one. Okay, so normally a block cipher will be something like this. I am giving a 4-bit input to this one. So we will apply some permutations as well as substitutions there, and we will get a block of another data. So 4-bit input if I am providing, I will get a 4-bit output after some substitutions as well as permutations. Okay. Now let me tell you one thing. Next concept is a Feastel cipher structure. Okay, what exactly the Feastel structure is? In Feastel structure, what we will be doing is, so in Feastel cipher, it was developed by a scientist, that is Feastel, that's why Horst Feastel, that's why it is known as Feastel cipher. Feastel cipher is actually a block ciphering method. From the Feastel cipher, DS is developed actually. In Feastel, it's actually employing a 4-step process. What is a 4-step is? It is a product cipher itself. That is, what we are doing here is, whatever the block of data we have, say for example I am considering a 32 bits blocks. This 32 bit block I will be dividing into 2 halves, left as well as right. So it will have a 16 bit on the left, 16 bit on the right. Okay. Then what I will be doing is, this different blocks of data will undergo multiple rounds of some operations. Okay, that is, in each round we will be doing some substitution and permutation, right? So in the left side data we will be performing some substitution. Okay, in the right side data we will be applying the key also. For each round we will be applying different key. That is why it is known as sub keys we will be applying there. Okay, after that we will have some rearrangement, that is permutation. That is, what we will do is that we will swap the left data to right, right data to left. Then we will go for the next round. Likewise, multiple rounds will be there. So a continuous different rounds, substitution as well as permutations we will be doing. SP network we will be applying. That is exactly Feastel cipher. So this is an example showing us Feastel cipher. A plaintext is there, 2 W bits are there. It is divided into 2 halves, that is W bits and W bits. This is right, this is left. In the right side I will be applying some substitution. In the left side I will be applying some substitution. Right side I will be applying the key and a function there. After that we will swap the data. Again another round. So likewise these rounds will be repeating. So this is a permutation and this is something called a substitution we will be applying. So an SP network, substitution and permutation, continuously in different rounds we will be applying, so that finally we will be getting a ciphertext. So how many rounds will be there, what is the function, everything will depend upon the different encryption method. So this is what we taught now. Write value, a function with a key we will apply some substitution there and make the right to left, make the left to right. That is why we are doing a swapping. Okay, so Feastel network, that ciphering process depends upon certain factors. That is the design principles of Feastel cipher. First thing is block size. Okay, suppose I considered now a block size of 32 bit. As the block size increases, the security of this one will increase, of course. Okay, second thing, but the problem with that one is, as the block size increases, the processing time will be high. That is, it slows the cipher. Next one is key size. That is, suppose instead of some 10-bit key, suppose I am using a higher degree key, higher bit key if I am using, it also improves the security. But what happens is the key generation process as well as searching will be very tedious task. So that will decrease or slow down the ciphering process. Next one is number of rounds. How many number of rounds if we are applying, that improves the security. Maximum number of rounds means it improves the security, so that the ciphertext generated will be complicated one. But it also slows down the cipher generation process. Next one is subkey generation. That is, for each round, as I told you, we will be using different keys. So we have to generate the key as complicated as possible so that the ciphering will be very complicated ciphers can be generated there. Then also, if we try to generate a complicated subkeys, the process, entire ciphering process will slow down there. And one more thing is there, that is the round function. We are applying some function there in order to make that substitution permutation process effective. If we make a complicated round function, then of course the security will be high, the process will be very slow. And last thing is very important factor, whenever we are using complicated key, large number of blocks as well as key sizes, whatever it is, the encryption decryption process should be very fast. That is one of the factor. So these are the design principles which will affect each and every Feastel cipher which we are. Okay, so this is a figure showing the difference between Feastel encryption as well as decryption. As I told you, encryption, just reverse process we are doing, that is nothing but decryption, since we are using the same key. This is input, we will go through these steps. Here the ciphertext is the input. In the reverse order we will go through these steps, we will get the. Okay, so we are moving to DS. DS adopts the concept of this Feastel network. Okay, what we are exactly doing there is, so what exactly in DS we are doing is that, in DS, it is applying symmetric encryption, that is same key we are using for the encryption as well as decryption, and encrypts a block of data 64 bit and key is 56 bit. Okay, so DS is considered to be a wide range used, highly secure encryption method. So before starting details of DS, we will see a simplified DS. Actually, DS, working with the DS as well as explaining with the DS is somewhat complicated one. So as a teaching tool, there is a concept known as simplified DS. Okay, we are not taking as much as complicated DS, so that the explaining the DS will be very simple. That's why simplified DS we are using. So in the simplified DS, instead of 64-bit plain text which was there in the case of DS, here we are using only 8-bit plain text. Key size is also very less, that is 10-bit. And we are going to generate an 8-bit ciphertext there. So plain text is 8-bit, ciphertext of course will be 8-bit block size, and key sizes 10-bit blocks keys are we are using. So each sub key for each round will be of size. Okay, so this is a figure showing how simplified DS is working there. You can see that this is my encryption process. I am giving 8-bit plain text. It will go through different operations. Okay, that first one is IP, that is initial permutation. From the initial permutation, we will go to a function, that is round function. Okay. From the round function, we will go to swapping, SW. Then we will move to second rounds of operation. Then we will go to inverse initial permutation. So what is the key size here? 8-bit. Plain text size is here 8-bit. What is the key size here? 10-bit. 10-bit key we are producing. How many rounds of operations are there? 1 as well as 2. So 2 rounds of operations we are performing there. And 2 permutations are there. At the starting it is known as initial permutation. The reverse of that one we are applying, that is known as inverse initial permutation. Okay. The decryption process, same thing in a reverse order we are doing. I will give the ciphertext. I will perform the initial permutation, first round function, swapping, second round function, inverse initial permutation. I will get the corresponding plain text there. This is decryption, this is encryption. I will be taking a 10-bit key. In the 10-bit key also, I will be doing some processing in order to generate different subkeys for each round. How many rounds are here? 2 rounds, right? For the 2 rounds, in order to generate 2 different keys, I will be using different functions. That is, this is P10. It is denoted as permuted function 10. For identifying it, I will be using the number 10. Another permutation function that is known as P8SU. From the 10-bit key, we will be generating different subkeys for different rounds. Okay, so the encryption algorithm of the simplified DS involves 5 steps. First one is, as we have seen in the figure, initial permutation is there. If round function I am applying there, a swapping is there for enabling the permutation operation. Then again a round function I will be applying there. Then the last one, inverse initial permutation we will be using. These are the major 5 steps involving in Feistel cipher, simplified DS encryption. So the ciphertext generated will be the plain text. After the initial permutation, first key, with that one I will apply the round function, then swapping, second round function, then inverse initial permutation. Okay, the key will be generated. First the key, initial key, I will apply the permutation 10, then shift, then permutation 8 key. In detail we will see how it happens, the permutation, shifting, everything we will see one by one, don't worry. And the decryption, the same thing, in the reverse manner we are doing. Ciphertext per initial permutation, round function, swapping, inverse initial permutation, like that. Okay. So the key generation process, that is 10-bit key, a permutation, a type of rearrangement we are doing. Dividing into 2 halves like a Feistel cipher structure, and we are doing a shifting operation, left shift, that is LS, shifting operation we are doing in between the bits. Then a permutation, another permutation we are doing, we will get the first key. Whatever we are getting, we will take that one, divide it into 2, again that permutation we will apply, we will get another subkey. So for each round also we will be generating different keys. What is the comparison between DS and SDS? So now I have explained SDS in a very abstract format, right? In that one I told you, in SDS we are using 8-bit blocks. So actual DS we are using 64-bit block. Okay. In SDS we are using the key size of 10-bit. In actual DS we are using 56-bit key. Okay. Output will be same as that of plain text, that is 8-bit blocks will be output of this one, ciphertext size. Here in normal DS, 64-bit block will be the ciphertext output. Okay. So initial permutation, 8 bits itself we are processing, here 64 bits. Okay. And round function operates on 4 bits, that is we are dividing into 2. So 8-bit dividing into 2, that is 4 bit each. Here it will be 32 bit each. Okay. Here in S boxes, here SDS, 2 S boxes I am using, here it will be 8. We will see in detail that one. 2 rounds of operation, as we have seen in the figure, 2 rounds of operation we are applying in SDS. But in the case of normal DS, it is 16 rounds of operation. So same thing, 16 rounds are there. Okay, how it happens we will see. So this is the comparison between these two. Okay. So now we will see how data encryption standard DS works. Okay. So as I told you, DS working with plain text block size of 64-bit as well as the key size 56-bit. Here this is the DS encryption algorithm. This figure shows the detailed description of each step, what happens there. Okay. Here you can see plain text size is 64-bit. One very important thing is there, 64-bit key is here. Actually, our key size is 56 itself. I will be adding some parity bit to this one in order to make it secure so that it will become 64-bit. That's why it is written here as 64-bit key. Okay. Now, first we will concentrate on the encryption part. As I told you, there are 16 rounds of operations are there. Then a swapping operation is there. Initially, there is an initial permutation. Last, we will have an inverse initial permutation in order to nullify this initial permutation. Okay, so we will see the encryption each step by step. What is this initial permutation, inverse initial permutation, swapping, and within each round, what all operations we are doing there. So first, we will concentrate on this part. Okay. This encryption part we will concentrate here. Okay. Here we can see this is the same as that of previous one. We will be concentrating on this part. Here in this case you can see from this initial permutation step actually doing. Look at this one. Permutation means rearrangement. I told you, right? So the bits I have 64 bits. Suppose if I am writing 64 bit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 like that we will be writing. Here in initial permutation I have rearranged the bit. That is first bit. This is actually indicating the row value as well as column value. That is, this is first bit. 9th bit onwards starting here actually like that. So this is actually our permutation table is this starting from 58 onwards. This is our table. Okay, here you can see instead of the first bit I will place a 58th bit here. That is the meaning of this table. Instead of the second bit I will place the 50th bit here. So where actually my first bit is, it is placed here. So I have rearranged my bits in some particular order so that it is a type of transformation, rearrangement, permutation we are doing. So that's why it is known as initial permutation. Okay, I will tell you how we can write this table. Okay, that is, we don't want to mug up this table numbers, we can simply write this table. Okay, it is arranged in a particular manner, that's why. So I have to nullify this rearrangement by using inverse initial permutation. That is, inverse initial permutation is opposite of that one, initial permutation. So what type of arrangement we have done, what all things we have done in this initial permutation, it will cancel out in inverse initial permutation. How? We will see. Suppose this is actually the place for first bit, right? Where the first bit actually I have placed in the initial permutation here, right? So this is 30th bit, 33rd bit. That's why I have written 33. That is first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, 8th bit. Okay. So in order to get this as the 8th bit, 7 plus 1, 8. So for identifying the position number of the bit, I have marked the row value as well as column value here. Okay. So this bit, that means 33, 33, 34, 33 plus 7, that is 40th. In the 40th position actually I have placed what? 1 should be come here. So what I will be doing, inverse initial permutation, whatever the 40th bit, it should come here. So that's why I have marked 40 here. Okay, is it clear for everyone? I think. Same way, what happens? Second bit, it is placed here. That is the position value here. 8, 7 plus 1, that is 8. So in the 8th position actually, second bit actually placed in the initial permutation, rearrangement. So 8th bit should come in the second position. So 8 here. Likewise, it will be rearranged. Now, how I can write these numbers? That is, I have removed that row value and column value for identifying the position. How can I write the table? Starting from 58, that's the only thing you have to remember. Starting from 58. Minus 8, 50. Minus 8, 42. Likewise, as long as you can do the subtraction with 8, you can do. That is up to 2. 2 minus 8, it will be a negative number. So, we will stop doing it. Next, 58 plus 2, that is 60. Plus, after from 60, minus 8, 52, minus 8, 42, like that it will be continuing. Next, 60 plus 2, 62, minus 8, likewise you will be continuing. 64, 62 plus 2, 64, minus. After that, 64 bit is there only, right? Plus 2 I cannot do. So, what I will be doing? 58, I started with 58, right? Next, I will start with 57. Minus 8, continuously I will be doing. Plus 2 I will be doing 59, minus 8 I will be continuously doing. So this is what we will be doing in initial permutation. Inverse initial permutation, that is reverse of this one. Actually 1 is placed in the 40th position, that's why 40 comes here. But I cannot do all the each and every step like that, right? So in order to remember this table, you can write something like that. On the second column onwards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8. Then 9, 10. After one column, we will write 9, 10, 16. Then 17 to 24. Then 25 to 32. Next, 33 to 40. 41 to 48. 49 to 56. 57 to 64. Likewise, I can simply write that will be the inverse initial permutation table for DES. So this is initial permutation and inverse initial permutation. The first position value I will be placing in the 40th position. 16 rounds of operation in between we will be performing. After that, the 40th position value will be placed first. So what we are doing is initial permutation, what all rearrangement I have done, it will be cancelled out in the inverse initial permutation. That's why it is known as inverse initial permutation. It's also known as final permutation. In between we are doing some 16 rounds there. Okay. Next we will see what are the rounds of operation there. Okay. When starting with the rounds of operation, I will be splitting that 64 bit into two halves. That is a left side as well as a right side data. Okay. The right side we are actually applying some key there. So for applying the key, here when I am getting the key size is 48 bit. So many processes there still. Anyhow, just think like that I am getting a 48 bit because we will deal all this key generation process after the encryption process. Okay. So 48 bit, in order to combine XOR with the 48, that is the type of substitution we are doing. In order to perform the XOR with the 48, I will expand this 32 bit to 48 bit. Okay, how the expansion is, we will see. So 48 plus 48, this bit I will XOR it. I will apply some substitutions there using the S boxes. That is, S boxes are used for substitution purpose. That's why it is known as S boxes, substitution boxes. Next, after the substitution, we will again have a 32 bit. Okay, so what happens in the substitution box, S boxes, it reduced 48 reduced to 32. From that 32, we will apply some permutation there. That is some rearrangement. It will be 32 again. So left side data XORed with the right side, we will place it in right side. That is what swapping we are doing. Left side actually comes in right side actually comes in left. So actually in the right side data we are doing nothing. In the left side data we are performing all these types of substitution as well as permutation operation there. Now we will see in each round which all operations we are performing. Okay, so this is the round operation. I am starting with the expansion. First I told you the 32 bit is actually expanding to 48 bit. That is, first 4 bit I will take. Okay, and this bit is repeating in this one. And this bit is repeating here. Okay, same way this bit is repeating here, this bit is repeating here. Clear? So that means here we are doing some repetition here. Likewise, we are continuing, and this one Okay, this one, the first bit from this one will come here, and this last bit from 32second bit, it will come here. So what happens? Each 4 bit, we are generating 6 bits. So what happens? Here, this from each 4 bit, that is 8 into 4, 32 bits are there, making into 6 bits of 8, that is 48 bits total. 6 into 8, 48 bits we are making. That is what we are doing expansion. So it will be, the bits will be 32, 1, 2, 3, 4, after that 5, 4, then 5. Isn't it? So table, see the table, that is 32 comes first from that last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, then 5 comes here. Then 4 comes again, that is 4, then 5, 6, 7, 8, likewise it will be continuing. So that is from the previous slide table, we will see this one, how this expansion table works. So in order to remember this table, it is very simple, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, likewise you can write from 1 to 32, okay, and 1 is repeating, right? So I will be writing that like this, 1 here, 1 here, then 5 to 29, simply 5 to 29. Okay. Then 32, that is this last bit, again repeats in the first block, that is 32. Then this one repeats, that is every 4th bit repeats. So 4, 8, 12 like that. So every 4th bit as well as every first bit repeats. That's why this is the expansion. So total it will become a 48 bit. Second step is substitution after the XOR, right? So after the expansion, it will become 48 bit. This 48 bit, simply I will be applying some XOR operation with the key 48 bit. After that, it passes through some substitution. For the substitution, we are using S boxes. 8 S boxes I am using, right? In order to each 8 S boxes, we will be passing how many bits? 6 bits we will be passing. From the 6 bits, I will be generating only 4 bits. That is, I am using the reverse operation of expansion. Right? In expansion, I have from 32, it's developed to 48. Now, in a substitution, the 48 go back to 38. So, how this S box is select from a 6 bit, how it makes to a 4 bit value. Next thing. So these are our 6 boxes. 8 S boxes are there in DS. We will apply 6 bits. It will generate. How it happens. So these are the 8 S boxes. In the 8 S boxes, you can see there are so many numbers are written here. It is a highly randomized values, but S boxes for a particular algorithm is fixed one. I will repeat, S boxes for a particular algorithm is fixed one. So here you can see different numbers are there. The number maximum value is nothing but 15. That is, I can represent it with 4 bit value. So this is our S boxes. How AS boxes convert 6 bit values to corresponding 4 bit value. That is 6 bits I am passing. I will choose the first as well as last bit. Okay, it will select the corresponding row. This row got selected. Suppose. Next, in between 4 bits are there, no? That is bit 2, 3, 4, 5. These two selects the column value. That is 0 to 15. Which column it is. In that column an entry will be there. I told you the value within the X boxes ranges from 0 to 15. That means it can be represented with 4 bit. The value corresponding 4 bit will be the final answer of that S box. Clear? So this is how this works there. So this is box 1. This is a problem. You can try this one. Solution is also given there. Problems. Next step after the substitution. So I have explained up to the S boxes concept. One more permutation is there. That is a straight permutation is there. That is some type of rearrangement. You have to remember this table either. I don't think there is a shortcut for remembering this one. You have to either write it is a straight permutation, some random rearrangement we are performing. After that, for the swap operation. So S boxes permutation. that we will go for the swap operation, right to left, left to right, then next rounds of operation will be there. Now we will think about the key generation process, how the key will be generated. So initially, as I told you, the key size is 64 bit. After that 64 bit, we will have a parity drop there, again a permutation there, then it will become again 56 bit. Then what happens? It will divided into two halves, that is left as well as right. Then a shifting operation we are performing, again another permutation. So before this there is one permutation is there. In that permutation 64 I will be changing to 56. Actual key size is 56 itself. Okay. So that is how we will be performing the key generation operation. So for each round we will be generating different keys. Okay, now here we will see the key generation process in detail. This parity drop actually known as permutation 1. Here what we are doing is permutation 2, that is known as compression. Actually in this permutation rearrangement we are dropping the parity. Here we are doing some type of comparison. That's why these two permutations are named like parity drop as well as compression. Okay. So initially we will have 56 bit key. Parity bits of course will be added to that one for the security. The parity adding in detail we will see in the coming modules. Anyway, some extra bits will be added to that one. So it will become 64 bit, right? 64 divided into 64 after the parity drop it will become 56 bit again. Okay. The 8 bits I have dropped. From that 56 it is divided into 2, that is 28 bits each. Okay. I will be performing some shifting operation. So in different rounds shifting will be different. That is what written here. In the 1, 2, 9, 6 only one bit we will shift. One bit shift left we will be performing. Only one bit we will shift left. All the other rounds of operation, all the other rounds, say for example third round, fourth round, etc. we will shift by 2 bits. 2 bits left shifting we will be performing that. Okay, so this is shifting operation we are performing there. After the shifting we will do some compression. After that compression the 56 bit 28 that is 56 bit changes to 48 bit. So this is what the sub key for that particular round operation is. So this is what permuted choice 1 parity drop, permuted choice 2 that is compression operation, then shift. That is what we are employing in the key process. So in the parity drop, this table, remembering this table is very simple. As I told you, number of bit shift is very simple. 1, 2, 9, 60. 1, 2, 9, 60. Only one bit shifting we will be doing. Others we will fill with 2 bit shifting there. Okay. Now parity bit drop table. That is parity bit we will be dropping. How we will avoid that 8 bits is each 8th bit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 I will remove. Okay. Next step 4, 5, 8. Then 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 I will remove. Likewise, we will remove that one. That is known as actually the parity bit drop table. So, if you are writing 1 to 8, then like that, the last column I will remove from that one. Okay, that is what parity bit dropping process we are doing. General case. Okay. Then, next thing is, so in order to remember this table, I will tell you a trick, that is 1, 2, 3, after that 4. Then next one is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Up to that one is there now. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Here you can see 5, 6, 7. 8 is missing. Right? Then 9, 10, 11, 12. Then 13, 14, right? Next 13, 14, 15. Next one is 16. 16 is missing. 17, 18, 19. Next one is 20, right? So it will be 20 is 20 is there. 21, 22, 23. So every 8th bit we are removing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 removed. 8 removed. Next 16 removed. Next one 24 will be removed. Likewise. And some rearrangement we have done in the parity drop table. Either you can write like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8th bit is removed. Like that you can write. But this is what the rearrangement we are doing in the permutation. You can remember this by 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 5, 6, 7. Next 8 is not there. 9, 10, 11, 12. Then 13, 14, 15. 16 is not there. 17, 18, 19, 20 is here. Then 21, 22, 23. Like that you can remember the parity drop table also. And 23, after that 24 is not there. Next 25, 26, 27. 28 is not there. 28 is here. 28. Then 29, 30, 31. 32 dropped. 34, 35, 36, 36. Then remaining 37, 38, 39 like this. Okay, so likewise it will be continuing. Okay, so it is a continuing process there. Okay, so likewise you can remember this table, the parity. Next one is key compression table. That is also a complicated table. Some type of rearrangement is there. We cannot remember this. So anyway, what we are doing is, in the key compression, we are compressing our 56-bit table into a 48-bit table. So that it will become 48 bits will be the 48 bits can be used for the key sub-key. Okay. In the decryption, same. In the Feaster cipher, I told you, whatever the encryption we are doing, the reverse operation we are performing, that is the reverse operation, that is known as the decryption process. So this is my input. I will be doing the reverse operation, that is output is the plain text. What is the strength of DS? Strength of DS is actually, here you can see we are using 56 bits there. So 2 raised to 56. That much of key combination we can generate it. So if you are performing any brute force attack, means you are trying out all the possible cases. It is not possible with that one. And another very strength of the DS is we are using S boxes there. So instead of very large key like 72 bits, we can go for this 56 bit key value, which is enough, and we cannot do the brute force as well as it is. Okay, and one more thing is there is avalanche effect is with the DS. What is avalanche effect? A very small change in the plain text or key if I am making, the entire ciphertext will get altered. So if I am making, this is showing a change in plain text, how many bits it will be differ. Suppose 2 bits if I am making changes in the plain text, that means what happens? 21 different changes I can make in the ciphertext. Same way, if 2 bit if I am changing in the key value, 14 bits will be get altered in the ciphertext. So there is strong avalanche effect is there. A very small bit change will affect largely in the production of text. That is the strength of this one. So we can conclude that the strength of DS is we cannot apply this brute force attack for the key generation process, and we can use in order to block DS we should use some differential and linear cryptanalysis. What it is we will see, and still DS is standing as a very strong